3. We are very excited to be joined now by the man running against him, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Attorney General Paxton, it's great to have you on. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is we've got a pretty interesting race in Texas.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk about it. Now, for folks who are just now tuning into the midterms, summer's starting to end, they're going back to school, and they're taking account of some of the big races. They might be surprised to hear that Texas is such a close race, but tell us just what is at stake right now in your state.
Look, this is huge. We've got the most far left radical socialist Democrat running in Texas, probably history, who's trying to hide all his positions from his last 10 years in the House and just interviews talking about his radical positions. And so we have this opportunity. We can elect a conservative Republican like Texas has done for decades, or we can elect a very similar guy to Mamdani or other socialist Democrats that are out there running right now. It's actually stunning that this guy won the Democratic primary, and that because the media doesn't really cover his actual positions, he's covered up in being suddenly a moderate Democrat, which is as far from the truth as it could be.
So what are some of those positions that concern you the most and you think should be concerning to Texas voters?
There's so many. I mean, right now he's running as a guy that wants to cut our taxes, but every single opportunity in the Texas legislature, he voted for a state income tax, which we don't have in Texas, but he wanted one for us. And he voted for the death tax, which we don't have in Texas, but he wanted one for us. He voted to allow cities to raise property taxes, which we have a very high property tax, so we didn't need to raise it more. He called the tax cuts that were passed by the president on wages, overtime wages, on tips, on Social Security, and even on the child tax credit. He called them deeply immoral to have passed those. So he's definitely not in favor of tax cuts. He wants more taxes on business. He wants more taxes on individuals. Any possible tax, this guy's for. Second, he talks about securing the border, but guess what? He never voted for a single bill that I can tell that actually improved the border situation. He voted against law enforcement in every possible case along the border, whether it was creating our own border patrol or helping the federal border patrol, whether it was state cooperation, whether it was creating more detention centers, more courts, whether it was creating any kind of infrastructure to stop illegal immigration. He was against it. And then, of course, he's been a big pusher, voted to have boys and girls sports several times. And he also voted to he also pushed the transitioning of children, both in schools, just the ideology, and also the idea that we wouldn't stop it in Texas.
As you mentioned, James Talarico has been very supportive of transgender identifying kids. At one point in a podcast, he was asked what he loves, and that was seemingly the first thing that popped into his mind was trans kids. You are on the very opposite side of that issue, and I think our viewers would be interested in hearing more about your efforts to settle with a hospital that was pushing trans medical procedures for kids and then open up a detransition center. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've spent a lot of time suing doctors that were doing these transition of children. We stopped hospitals. We actually forced one hospital to leave the state. And Texas Children's Hospital, which has been around a long time in Texas, a big, good hospital, unfortunately, they were doing that as well. We sued them, and we got an agreement recently, and it's been fully executed as of this week. And it provides that every doctor that was doing the transitioning, it was fired. They have to have policies in place that do not allow that to happen again. And then they paid the state of Texas and the federal government, mostly the state of Texas, $10 million. Plus, they're opening up a detransitioning unit, which is the first of its kind that I know of in the country. And they are going to provide services to detransition children that were transitioned, I think for 5 years at no cost. So it's a historic settlement. It's something very unique, and it's very unique to Texas. But I really do hope that other states will follow suit and get these type of arrangements accomplished.
We know that the Democrats nationally are, again, they're just salivating over the idea of being able to say, we turned Texas blue. And I'm sure there is all sorts of support coming in from outside groups, dark money groups, whatever it is. What are you seeing in your race when it comes to Democrats from outside of Texas pouring money into the state to try and support Talarico?
Yeah, look, he had a 3-month head start on me because he didn't have a runoff. So he was able to raise money in the spring where I was spending money. I came out of the runoff with $0 and started in June. So in Texas summers are tough to raise money in, but we're doing it and we're going to compete. But yes, his money, I think he had about $30 million coming out of when I came out with nothing. He had $30 million, most of it from California and other states. I know he had $10 million contribution from a guy from California, and he had most of his contributions from states like New York, California, Illinois, but not from Texas.
You mentioned the runoff. You ultimately prevailed over the incumbent, John Cornyn, but it was a bruising primary. There's no doubt about that. Are you confident that you have coalesced the GOP voters around you? And are you confident that folks who were in the Cornyn camp are now all coming over to your campaign?
Yeah, we've been working on that. It's a process. Some people, with Texas summers being so hot, a lot of people are on vacation. It's hard to get to everybody, but we're in the process of trying to bring every single one of them over. Because there's a stark choice between me and James Talarico. I don't think we agree on a single issue, and we aren't even close. He's so radically left, and he's so woke, and he is a socialist Democrat. So and we're also talking about whether we keep the U.S. Senate in Republican hands. If we lose Texas, I don't see that happening. So this is a really important race for not just Texas, but for the entire nation.
Yeah, I understand polling can be all over the place and folks have good reason not to trust the polls. But if you do look at the available polling data right now, with independent voters, Talarico does seem to have a pretty significant lead over your campaign. We have, again, good reason to doubt the polls, but I'm interested in what your message is to an independent voter in Texas who they don't consider themselves far left, but they're feeling let down by Republicans in D.C. What do you say to folks who just simply want to see something new?
Yeah, I think we've all felt like Washington in general hasn't performed the way we want. That's why I ran. I offer a new type of leadership. It's not based on Washington politics. It's based on what's best for the state of Texas. I think if you look at my record as a Texas Attorney General, I represented all Texans. These settlements, whether these lawsuits against the federal government, whether against big tech, big pharma, our whole push towards suing companies that are misleading people about health benefits and the whole MAHA movement. We have many lawsuits that have protected children, that have protected adults, that have protected everyone. And so my message is, look, we're here, one, to look out for all Texans. Two, we've offered up an economic program that applies to everyone. And that would be first-time home buyer tax deduction of $50,000. And actually, we'd have a second time, which would be the same time. So you get 2 bites at the apple. We would also give a $25,000 tax deduction for out-of-pocket medical expenses because the cost of medical has gone up, and also your insurance premiums. All of that would be covered. We also I'm offering up a $5,000 tax deduction for healthy living. So if you want to spend money on a gym membership or some type of nutrition program, sports for your kids, or even doctor prescribed GLP-1s, things that allow for healthier living, we're going to promote. And then finally, I'm pushing the Trump tax accounts for kids, that we continue those and we expand it beyond the years that they're already going to be there. And then also double the child tax credit. So instead of $2,200, it'd be $4,400. So that's for everybody. That's for independents. That's for Democrats. That's for Republicans. And so, look, we're offering something for every Texan.
One final question. If you get the chance to take the debate stage with James Talarico, which topics are you most excited to press him on, and what questions would you ask him?
Well, I mean, I am kind of curious. I mean, just because I can't seem to figure this out. Like, what are the 6 sexes? I've muddled that around in my mind, and I would really love to hear him answer that question. Like, what are they, James? What are the 6 sexes? And what did you mean? And why did you push this whole transitioning movement in Texas? And why did you push the boys and girls sports? Most parents would not, be pleased with that. So I would have a lot of questions. I would say this: we do need help at kenpaxton.com, and you can donate there. And we need as much help as we can get from around the country to win this race.
If I may propose one other question, if you could ask him what he meant when he claimed from the pulpit that God was non-binary, I would also appreciate some clarification there.
You know what? I have that same question. It's just there's so many questions for the guy that would be nice to hear what he was thinking when he said it. Well, there's probably 50 different questions like that. It's just a matter of like prioritizing which one do we actually want to hear the answer to. Yeah. And my guess is he'll either deny that he still believes that stuff because he's in a general election, he needs to mislead voters, or he'll change his answers based on just, being in the moment.
Well, Attorney General Paxton, we're going to be covering this race very carefully, very closely, and we appreciate your time. We know you're a busy man, so thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Have a great day. I appreciate having me on.